Welcome to spring in Australia. Lena Rodriguez coming to you, intrepid viewers. And in the days since I saw you, things happen like every day. There is so much news to keep across. So I'll do my best to catch up with some of the things that have been happening this week. Now, since the Omarosa, what do you call it? The judgment that said her non-disclosure agreement didn't have to be upheld. That's emboldened a lot of other whistleblowers and MAGA defectors. So we can expect to see a lot more in that department. But one of my favourite stories as of yesterday was QAnon supporters saying that Michael Flynn is a Satanist because of a prayer he said at some weird gathering, and they've turned against him. Isn't it funny? They turn on their own, don't they? Now, he was a man high up in the American military. He was caught red-handed operating as a foreign agent. He admitted his guilt. He got sentenced and then, of course, got pardoned by the Yeti. And he's been busy going around the country spreading lies, deceit and hysteria. And now they've turned on him. So we're going to have a little read on Michael Flynn. Now, the other thing I want to talk about before I get into the big stuff was, oh yes, will the cyber ninja boss be forced to testify? That would be interesting. So we'll do those two first. First of all, Michael Flynn. No one more disgraceful. What is going to happen to Michael Flynn? Can he be recharged with anything? What's it? Surely you cannot do this stuff and just swan off into the twilight with your army pension intact. Surely. But we'll see. Okay, Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn. Truly disgusting human being. Let's have a look. Ah. He's in the wars, that much is for sure. That much is for sure. So we have these cards first up. I hope you can hear me okay. It's all experimental outdoors. I can't even see myself, but I'm hoping when the video comes out, you'll be able to see it. Okay, defending. You know, that's what's happening here. He could become a bit of a sacrifice for the movement itself. I'm wondering about this. There's many interpretations of the hangman, and I'm thinking he might actually be sacrificed. He's evaluating what is he going to do now. He's sold his soul literally to the devil. He has made himself a Yeti wrangler. He has been his central casting general that he's been able to wheel out. He has watched the military be abused and belittled by the cretinous and horrendous Yeti, and he has stood by. And so now it's his turn to evaluate where he stands. Now, with these two cards, America, I think he's going to still, I wonder if there aren't mental health issues with Michael Flynn, but it's not an excuse. It doesn't matter what he might be diagnosed as. It really doesn't matter. He's going to continue to work with dark money to undermine America. That is his decision. How appalling is that? So we're not looking at a mea culpa here. He's burnt his bridges, and I think it's I'm just going to do a quick, I'll put those cards aside. Will the military actually court-martial him or do whatever they do at this stage when someone's left the forces, but is doing blatantly illegal acts? That was the first time around when he was trying to get that guy extradited to Turkey secretly to be tortured and killed. I'm sorry, what does it take to get a court-martial? Will they court-martial him? Just a yes or no. I hope it's a yes. I so hope it's a yes. This is the sun. The sun is shining on what he did. I think the fact that he's now been turned on by the MAGA, he'll be out in the cold. This is justice about his overseas dealings. I think there's more to the Michael Flynn story. There is more to come. There are more installments. So I seriously hope we have to see some justice, don't we, intrepid viewers? Are we not sick of seeing these people skate away from appalling things? Let's hope a little bit of justice comes in here. Meanwhile, in other news, the she-wolves, as I call Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, they're both in trouble. Marjorie Taylor Greene, her chief of staff, has left. We've got Boebert's got campaign violations. Talking about another person who skated, the South Dakota Attorney General in 2020, hit and run, kills a man as he's driving the Attorney General's driving his car, hits someone, kills them, and then said he didn't know what he'd hit. And one of the investigators said his head went through your windscreen. What do you mean you didn't know it was a human? But no, he got away with misdemeanors. You see, this is what's happening, everyone, is this myth that we all have in all our countries, but America, it's so blatant. Oh, everyone's equal before the law. No, they're not. No, they're not remotely equal before the law, not even pretending, not even in the same ballpark. So this is being exposed now, intrepid viewers. Speaking of being exposed, things are coming out, deep things. So that's political things, but also the little I know of astrology, but I know more than I did a year ago. And we have to really keep a close eye on Pluto. So it's America's Pluto return, which only happens every 240 years or something. It's not, every Saturday night. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. And Pluto also governs things around energy. And we've had the oil spill. So Pluto digs deep into the filth and the mud. So it can be symbolically, like in politics, or it can be literal, and showing us how fossil fuels are dirty fuels and the need to move forward. I saw Manchin during the week being praised by fossil fuel companies, saying he's our kingmaker. Nice. So let's hope that oil spill gets cleaned up. But please expect this. There's going to be more power shortages and stuff, because not only are these fuels filthy, they're no longer really working either. It's craziness. So now my big focus for this reading is American democracy. I'm going to do a bigger than normal spread and the state of American democracy. And I'll take this moment to say, intrepid viewers, please, please, please look after yourselves really well, because you've got to conserve your energy, find new wells of energy for next year, because 2022 is so important. You've got to be in tip-top condition for next year. So take a break now while all the January 6th hearings and stuff is going on, but really start thinking about where your focus is, where you can help some organisation or something next year. But we're now looking at state of American democracy. It is imperiled. So what is happening with American democracy? What is happening with American democracy? Come on down. It's an emotional issue for sure. Oh, thinking. Okay. Okay. Let's have a look here. This, we use that expression, the hearts and minds, all the time. The problem is the whole country is running on emotion. There's no air here at all. There's no intellectual engagement. It's all emotion. Okay. Overflowing emotion. That's why people are so upset and angry. There's different types of anger. There's that raw Republican, unfocused anger. And there's the anger I'm sure a lot of you feel in your own hearts of what's happened to your country, And so for one lot, it manifests as rage. And for thinking Americans, it's manifesting as a sort of almost paralysis because it's so shocking. But let me take a moment here before I finish this reading. Most Americans are thinking decent people who want a fundamentally more equal society and a decent society. So the polls that keep coming out, and I'm only quoting repeat polls because we all know polls can be wobbly, 70% or more. So 70% or more of Americans want the infrastructure deal to go ahead. 70% want something to be done about climate change. Hell, even over 70% want something done about gun control. Might be only this much here and this much somewhere else. You are the majority. And it's just that those with very loud voices and very threatening voices are stifling proper discussion. So I think that's important underlying this reading. So underneath, this was the Empress when everything was expanding and America got bigger and more powerful and richer and all of that. For some, this was glory days of the Empress. What was the thinking? It's starting to rain, so I hope I can spit this out before I get drowned. We rule the world. We're the strongest. Right. Actions going around the world. Ironically, allegedly taking democracy all over the world. Whereas now, democracy is hovering on the brink, but this is the past. So this is what built it. Now, this is the energy. And it's important to understand the energy so you can counter it. So in this context, people who lost their jobs 3 generations ago in manufacturing in the Appalachians or in the Rust Belt or wherever are disappointed. And Middle America is disappointed in their politicians. We desperately need a new generation of politicians that can't be bought off for a couple of mil in the back room. It requires integrity. I mean, that would be refreshing. So everyone's disappointed, right? Everyone. Advice from the universe: be slow, steady, and sensible. By slow, I don't mean slow to the point of stopping. I just mean being methodical. So this is a counterfoil to this. This can be heartfelt emotion. This can be crippling depression and disappointment. It can be all sorts of emotion. But I have to take action with the King of Wands. Oh, all my cards are getting wet. And the Four of Wands, the wedding card for the outcome. It's people pulling together. I have to stop now. I'm sorry. Let me press the pause button because I'm getting totally rained on now. Oh, I'm back. I had to run in from the rain. So, my darlings, let's ask the question, what can you do to help yourselves at this time? So this is something I think every country needs to be looking at, because we're all going through a version of it. It's just that America is the most dramatic and large scale version of it. So my question now is, advice from the universe, what can people do? What can people do to best look after themselves in this next year or so? Because 2022 is so major. Okay, so what can people best do to look after themselves? What can people best do? Oh. Very interesting. Okay. I think what's important, look, we've got to all be grown-ups here and understand that it's not going to be easy in the next 12 months or so, or from now till 2024, for any of us. This is a global watershed, but I'm focusing here on the States because we've got a through line here. I'll just show you coming down. This, what I call a through line. Okay. Now, this is the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, wait till I do this. Sorry, I need the 5-foot arm. Mercenaries come in all shapes and sizes, but I think this is in a way big corporations type mercenaries. Some corporations are bigger and more powerful than countries. And so the corporate business model has become a social model, and it's not. It's actually a bad economic model, but it's won the day for the last 40 years of neoliberalism and the neocons. Remember all that stuff. The user pays, privatize everything, privatize jails, privatize everything, privatize energy, privatize water. And what's happened, you know, there's whole towns, because it's not cost effective to remediate the lead pipes, have drinking water that can't be drunk, etc., etc. So that's also Pluto. Remember I was saying about Pluto digs up the grubby stuff. But this is corporations at their most powerful. People are now realizing these corporations are not there to help them. They only help the board members, right? As long as we do this, as someone said during the week, why become a Congress person when you can just buy one? I mean, this is what we know. YouTube purposes, entertainment. Cinema Mansion, and they're just the most recent. This rot and decay has been going on for a very long time. And the net result is to stab everyone else, the mere mortals, the 99% in the back. That is what the devil represents to me in modern tarot. that corporate greed. So it's time for the GOP to just say what we are. We are the party of greed, racism, and hypocrisy. And it's perfectly evident for people to see it, but they've been so ground down they couldn't see it. This is not an easy economic time, obviously. So what comes, that's the through line, which is what the problem is. The major obstacle has not been even the Yeti. All jokes aside, he was the most recent incarnation. He was a cartoon of a human being, a bad cartoon, of a human being and leader and all of that. But that's where this celebrity worship ends up going. And this is a problem for the entire country. So it's going to be tight. So hold on to your money, be sensible with your money. Think about it. Think about what you can do with it. Still keep up the sword of outrage, but a controlled outrage. You don't want it to be so that you're living and breathing this, but you want to have your raised sword going into the teeth of the headwinds and have your voice heard in order to reclaim the country, right? So this is a very important set of ideas. Now, this can be the impulsive night, can be too much energy pouring out. But at the same time, in the context of this reading, I think it comes back to young people. The solution is with young people. They need to be outraged that this is not sustainable in order for things to change. Once they start changing, I think it will happen very quickly. It's like the Texan abortion law has been stopped for now. That fight's not over. But many things coming at once. This is the gerrymandering. It is the poll fixing. It's the moving where the polling stations actually are. It's changing the eligibility rules. It's all of these things simultaneously coming into play. So to understand, when I say look after your money, it's national as well as your household budget. It's a bigger sense of how do you earn money, who makes the profits, and how much profit someone, an individual or a company should make. And I stress again, those of you who've watched a lot of my videos will know I really like the democratic socialist model of the Scandinavian countries. And so what happens there is very good schools, very good hospitals, and people can still individually become millionaires and they can run businesses and make huge profits. But you know what? They have to pay their workers really well. They have to give them maternity leave. They give the men paternity leave. You have good sickness leave. You have family time leave. You have grief leave. You have family leave. You have 6 weeks paid annual holiday, 6 weeks paid at full thing. You look after the workers. They also have to source whatever they use in their industry ethically, so not the scrubby bottom, ethical sourcing. And after that, you make a profit. As it is, all these companies are working for their board members, not the public. And so the public now has no control over where their energy comes from, where their water comes from, where their waste goes. Look, we heard last year that China was refusing to take any more of Australia's garbage. We didn't even know it was going to China. We all thought landfill, which was bad enough because it's code for not doing anything, no recycling, nothing, right? These can be mini industries in regional places. Properly recycling is very, very important, reusing it. you know, in the last 2 years, I spent a lot of time in hospitals, and the electricity they use and the plastic they use, so there should be medical redoing of the supply chain. So plastic should be reused, but if it's medical, it has to be particularly well done, you know, so it's sanitized and all perfect. My vote, for what it's worth, is every school and hospital, and I'm talking about Australia now, but why not the world, should have solar panels, every school and hospital. Now, if governments did that, it would be a massive infrastructure investment, creating thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. The energy that each state in Australia has to pay for, because the states deliver the healthcare, would come down. Also, by using so many of these things, it would mean that the cost of solar panels for your normal house or flat would come down because of economy of scale. It's not rocket science. And now they're warbling on in Glasgow. And we know we had that exchange where Nancy Pelosi praised the Australian Prime Minister for his leadership on climate change, which I may or may not have misunderstood. The point being, they're now talking about zero carbon emissions in 2050 or 2070. Not only will I have been dead for years, not the point. That's not name. Don't they know what the time is? We haven't got time to have another 30 or 50 years of these fossil fuels before we change to newer renewables and have a choice. If you're in a cold place, you can use the thermo technology. If there's a windy place, the Gulf of Mexico could have wind instead of more oil spills. There's very windy places in America. So a mix of solar, wind, thermal, mix it up, rework the grids. Prioritizing the people should not be a foreign idea. It should not be poo-pooed as something so abstract that we can't possibly do that. We can't afford to do that. But you can afford to do this, all right? So now here we go. Anyway, my darlings, let me know what's going on for you, because I do love the comments. I do read the comments. So let me know what is happening. I tried to get through most of your questions today, but there's still another pile. But if you have a burning question, put it in the comments and I'll try and get to it next time. So just remember, I love you immensely. All right. So you guys take care. Ciao, ciao.